Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Celtic Rumours TV, episode number 175, your Bawz and Bovril podcast with myself, and I've got Terence on the night. Evening, Terence.
Evening, Mark. How are you, pal?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
All good now, thank God.
Big Jerry's away to the Player of the Year dance. Him and Greg that was on last week. Yeah, just actually friends after streaming that, but they're away to that. VIP tickets for that tonight. But I mean, there's a 2 or 3 bar, and any of the two of them drink. a two or three bar and a limousine ride to the Hydro. Do they still call it the Hydro or the O2 or whatever it is they call it? Anyway, this is a podcast. Oh, sorry, Terence, what?
A nice couple's night out.
That's what I said. The two of us on there drinking fresh orange juice like a couple of right chookies. This is a podcast for our forum, celticrumours.co.uk. Everybody's more than welcome to come over and join that, get involved in the Discord and things like that. A few shout-outs to some of the lads for that. Obviously, Paul, Big Jerry, Old Tim Alloy, JFP, Mikey, Kev, Malika, Big Jabber, better no leave him out. Who we got in the chat? Bobby was first. Evening, Bobby. Henke, Liam Doyle, thanks for coming in, mate. McMullen, nice to see you. SJ, David Gallagher, Bobby 1962, thanks for coming in again, pal. John Coyle, Patrick McLaughlin, Drop Bags, Brian, nice to see you, Brian. We kept it positive all year, Brian. We were proved right. We'd have had some humble pie if we had lost this league right enough. Plunge, nice to see you, mate. Wally, thanks for coming in, bud. Smell the glove, hail, brother. Eddie McWilliams, Kev, Plunge, Stephen Colthart, Craig Young, James Boy, thanks very much for coming in, mate. Nice to see you. Well, Terence, you were one of these doubters.
I was.
All season.
Especially the last latter part. I'm glad to be proven wrong, Mark. But I didn't see it a few weeks ago, and I said I'd have no problem eating humble pie here or eating my words, and I'm quite happy to be doing so. Because I didn't think the turnaround from both sides was going to occur. I didn't think Celtic were going to get improved the way they have, and I didn't think the other crowd were going to get or drop points the way they drop points. But all credit to Celtic and obviously everyone involved. They proved a lot of doubters wrong, i.e. me and other people. And, you know, they got the result yesterday in the end where I felt it should have been an awful lot more comfortable than it actually was in the end. But they got the 3 points, which is the main thing. And like it's as you said, it's pretty much done and dusted now.
Again, but it was a bit nervy. It was yesterday. Because the amount of chances that we had missed, they last, especially in this kind of 7 minutes added on time. There was, I think, every Celtic fan had a wee niggling doubt in the back of their mind. We Gets are going to equalise here.
It would have reminded you of games from previous years where Celtic would dominate the game and they'd sneak a goal at the end, either win it or draw it, and where their keeper has an excellent game through poor finishing and good saves, a combination of both. But there was always games where you'd watch and Celtic would dominate a game and they'd manage to sneak a goal with 5 minutes to go, and Celtic would lose 1-0 or they'd draw 1-1, and you'd walk away going, how in God's name did they draw that, or how in God's name did they lose that? But like yesterday was a game that, as I said, we were talking about it ourselves without there was some not great finishing by Celtic. And there was some good goalkeeping as well, because he is a good goalkeeper, that Butland, in fairness to him. He's a good reactionary keeper. Like, it could have been 5 or 6 quite comfortably, you know. And then we let them in for a very, very sloppy goal as well. And it kind of, you know, and then the penalty miss. And after the penalty miss, Celtic kind of went into themselves a little bit and kind of, you know, you could see near the end it was more of a case of like, let's just see this out rather than try and, you know, maybe catch them on the counter attack. Ida had a good chance maybe if he squares it to O'Reilly, he knocks it in. You know, but you know, just look, they got the job done, but it was a lot more nervy than it needed to be, in my opinion.
We made it hard for ourselves, didn't we?
Definitely,
I said as well, for long spells of the game, it kind of, especially when Lundstrom gets sent off, it reminded you of the type of game we played against St Johnstone, just trying to break down the kind of 2 banks of 4 camped out on the Rangers' 18-yard line. That's what they played for a lot of that during that second half. But as the game went on, it was they kind of, we seemed to get into our shell, and maybe a wee bit of nerves came into the team. They
were just very apprehensive, Mark. They kind of set back, and you know, this Celtic team, or most Celtic teams that we've watched through the years, they play their best football, without trying to sound blaringly obvious here, is when they play at high speed, high passing, quick, accurate passing, and a lot of good running off the ball and quick movement of the ball. When Celtic try and play really, really slow, over and back, kind of trying to pass through teams, they're not. I don't say they're not good enough, but they're not good enough at it, if that makes any sense, to do it regularly enough. When they play a high-tempo football, especially in Scotland, they're very hard to contain, like.
Oh, definitely. And a lot of the kind of underlapping yesterday was getting back to even kind of the style we were getting used to under Ange, and Brendan's obviously bringing that back into the team.
I know it's going to sound a really stupid statement to make, but nearly at times when a man gets sent off, it nearly plays like when the goal scorer of the year for us got sent off for them. When they get sent off, they go back to a different formation. Whereas if he stays in the pitch, it's probably more space for Celtic. I know that sounds a bit silly in what I'm saying, but they're not as defensively minded, I would think, if there's 11 against 11 compared to the 10 against 11, if that makes any sense.
I know what you mean. I mean, I just think you get a kind of a hex over them in the new terms. For me, it is a psychological thing.
Oh, it is, yeah. Well, especially, Mark, whatever about in Parkhead, when you go through the season and it's rarely happening, you're probably a Celtic fan a lot longer than I am, and there's lads on the forums and the likes of JFP and that are there a long time. You don't go through a lot of seasons in the league not losing to Rangers. And you know, they've played the 4 games, and what is it, 3 wins, 1 draw?
Mm-hmm. You can't grumble at that. You can't. I mean, people kind of say, excuse me, the legal come down to the derby games and that, but it was other games we messed up. It was other games we messed up on.
If Celtic had got half the points against the teams that they had messed up on, that game yesterday would have been in a sense immaterial for the league. Obviously, it's not immaterial for what the match means to people, but it would have been immaterial in regards to the league because Celtic would have been 10 or 12 or 13 points ahead at that stage.
We've got to consider as well across the season. I mean, we had a power of mowing when we were getting through, we're kind of low patch and stuff like that. But when you look at the injuries we've had, the key players, I mean, Carter Vickers was a massive loss days.
Oh, he was, yeah, no question.
Injured. Do you know what I mean? Cal McGregor there, Brian saying it as well, that probably the best 2 games of the season. I mean, yesterday I thought Cal McGregor was unbelievable. I really do. I thought he was fantastic yesterday, the full game. Just where's he been? Where's he been hiding all season?
He's had 4 good games that I've seen, Mark. He's had the 2 derby games, the game against Hearts and the game yesterday. You know, I'm delighted to see him back to the form he was against Hearts and the form he was yesterday. That's the Callum McGregor we know. And any criticism that I was aiming at Callum McGregor was aiming at Callum McGregor on what I know Callum McGregor can do and what Callum McGregor was doing. And he wasn't performing up to the Hearts game to entitle him to be starting in the team apart from being captain. But as I said, Hearts and yesterday he was outstanding.
Like any criticism that he did get, it was warranted.
Yeah, it was.
It really was. As you said, Terence, we know what type of player is, we know what he can do, and if players aren't playing well, there's nothing wrong with saying they're not playing well. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
But people, it's weird, man. It's like Carter Vickers, Cal McGregor, there's certain players at Celtic that you're not allowed to criticise with certain fans. They don't like you criticising certain players. But on the other hand, the same guys are doing Scales pelters, Greg Taylor pelters. Do you know what I mean?
We've said this loads of times, Mark.
See yesterday, that Silva, that's the best I've seen him playing for Rangers. Alistair Johnson was garbage again yesterday as well. Everybody's concentrating on the lunchroom tackle, which was a shocker, but we'll go into that. But Alistair Johnson's been garbage for months as well now.
He has struggled, but what I will say, Mark, is for their goal, if you watch their goal, I don't know who's on that side. I'm assuming it's Jamesy Forrest. He doesn't track. He doesn't track Barisic back. So, in fairness to Johnson, he's left with Silva, and Barisic overlaps him. He's in no man's land, so there's nothing he can do. Would be the first point. The second point is we lose the first header in the box. Scales, who obviously I will try to defend as much as I can, especially because he's Irish, is ball watching. He's not looking at his man, he's looking at the ball, and Dessers kind of peels off him. And thirdly, Joe Hart has to come from a ball when it's a guy who heads it from 3 yards out. You know, that would be my criticism of that goal.
Where's Carter Vickers as well, but
oh no, none of them. They've lost the first head. They've lost the first header, Mark, and they've lost the second header. That's the problem.
Right, but it was a poor goal to lose, but it seems to be a kind of a weak spot in the kind of team, the way the team's set up. And again, you've got to give some of that blame to Alistair Johnson because the crosses are coming in for his side.
Yeah, the 2 goals against Aberdeen in the cup were that side. That one again yesterday was that side. Now, yes, you have to blame Alistair Johnson to an extent, no question about it. But I also have to question who's on that side and why aren't they getting back to make it? You know the way the winger not like Maeda comes back to Greg Taylor and it doubles up like. So he is to blame, yes, no question about it. But you also need to say to yourself, okay, who's on this side that should be getting back? Because if their full back is coming down the line, the wing on our side, the Celtic side, his responsibility is to track that man back. And if he's not tracking that man back, all of a sudden it's a 2-on-1. But no, I'm not trying to take Alistair Johnson away from blame. There is blame, especially in the Aberdeen game and at times yesterday.
For me, it's more like I'm not I'm not wanting to blame any particular. For me, it's like an organisational problem, Terence, in the defence.
Yes.
Because you can't constantly be caught out, and every time this kind of cross is put in and no learn. Do you know what I mean? It's these kind of crosses that are causing us problems all the time. Coming in for like our right hand side. And I mean, people say, oh, because Greg Taylor's too short, it's because Liam Scales isn't good enough. But if a ball's coming in anywhere about that area, that goal, that 6-yard box, there's two centre backs. That's what I'm going to say. There's two centre backs there, and there's a goalkeeper there. Surely, between the three of them, and I don't care how high somebody can jump, nobody can jump higher than somebody that's got their arms outstretched up above them. Terms, you know what I mean? Like a goalkeeper can do.
Oh, exactly.
It's something to do with coaching, organisation, defending these kind of balls. It's something far, far wrong with it, I think. These two seconds.
I agree with you, Mark.
Some people have shout outs have come in. I've not given them a shout out yet. Eddie McWilliams, nice to see you, mate. B, thanks for coming in. Thomas Burns, nice to see you again, mate. Craig Young, G. B, I mentioned B. Michelle, thanks for coming in. Michelle, nice to see you. Pat McLaughlin, thanks for coming in. Rod Patel, Michael McKinstry, David Gallagher, Lindsay, thanks for coming in. AR, just AR, that is there. That's us telling you go.
No, but I agree with you, Mark. But it's been a common theme. Like, I mean, as I said, Celtic lose the first header towards the back post, where if it's Carter Vickers or Greg Taylor, and I know you can't blame Greg Taylor. Greg Taylor's a height, and he's a height, and that's it. You can't expect Greg Taylor to start winning headers against 6'2" or 3" centre forwards. You expect Carter Vickers, you expect Liam Scales, and you expect your keeper. None of it. Like, they lose the first header. Scales is ball watching, the ball drifts over, but Dessers heads it in from no more than 2 or 3 yards out. Like, as soon as that ball's floating in the air, Joe Hart has to clean house. He has to take out everyone. He has to take out Celtic players, Rangers players, he take out whatever. And 9 times out of 10, the referee will give a free out. But he stays in his line far too much.
I've said that before. If the goalkeeper comes out for the ball and doesn't get it, if he just falls down, shouting and screaming, came down, chances are he'll get a foul at it the way the modern game is.
Yeah, anyway, but you can't let a guy have a clean header from 3 yards out. You just can't. It's very poor defending in general across the board. But it's the only blip you would say on the game yesterday, you know.
There was more good stuff than bad stuff.
Oh, miles better good stuff than bad stuff. No question about it.
The OG. I mean, the pass for Carter Vickers was a belter, but Maeda, I mean, how many times did we sit here and we say Maeda? It's just I was talking to Mike earlier on about it. He's a bit of an enigma, isn't he?
There's times he could kick that into Rose Head, like.
Aye, see if Maeda could cross the ball the way Tony Ralston could cross the ball, he wouldn't be at Celtic.
No, he wouldn't be. No,
you get what I mean? And just his touch for that to bring that ball down was sublime. It really was. It seems to
be. It's brilliant.
It seems to be just yesterday. Maeda just seemed to be playing a kind of as if he was that content and settled in himself. Didn't he? Just his full. It just looked actually delighted about to be here and playing. Wouldn't it? It was weird. I don't know how to put it into words. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
He looks a happy footballer, Mark. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. You would not have seen Maeda 18 months ago do what he done yesterday, which was basically leap into the crowd. You know, and he looks.
Do you think Rodgers has improved him as a player?
He obviously has, Mark, and he's obviously improved him as an. I don't mean improved him as an individual, but he's improved his mentality, his happiness, whether he's got across to him, look, enjoy your football. This is a short, maybe, this is your career is a short career. Enjoy it, take it in. You're winning trophies, you're playing at a big club, whatever it may be. But he certainly looks a very, very happy individual compared to maybe 15, 18 months ago. I thought he looks miserable. Even when there was goals scored, he wasn't celebrating or anything. He looks a different individual now.
Maybe it's just even down to all the kind of daft haircuts and stuff. I mean, you know how I feel about them, but maybe it's just a case of, like Rogers has said, enjoy yourself, just bring out your personality a wee bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, whatever it's happened, it's worked, that's for sure.
Big Jerry, apologies, Matt, I can't hear, but I'm following the chat. Listen back tomorrow at work. But I'm at a photo with you, Ronnie Dyla, Jerry.
Oh yeah, big Ronnie.
Aye. Do you think that'll be Johnson out for the rest of the season? Or at least rest it to the cup final. They're plunging the same rest Johnson until the final.
Well, why not? Like, I mean, look at Anthony Ralston. You know, I mean, he's not a bad replacement. He's, like, you would say, maybe is he as defensively solid as Johnson? Could be. Certainly a much better crosser than Johnson. So, like, I mean, you know, I mean, if there's any doubt with Alistair Johnson, you've got a good replacement there. You've got a good replacement, especially for the last two games in the league in Ralston, and it's a guy that you trust to do a job, and you wouldn't worry if he came in. You know what I mean? That would be my opinion on it, anyway.
I am the same. I've not got any problem with Ralston. I wouldn't even have any problem with Ralston coming in and playing in the cup final.
No, not would I. You'd feel confident because you know what the guy would give. He'd give his all. Like, I know that sounds silly, but he has quality to go with it as well. Yeah, he mightn't have the quality that some people expect, but he has enough quality for the domestic football, in my opinion. Anyway,
I'd agree with that. For me, Ralston's a bit like Greg Taylor's terms. Yeah,
so whipping boys, Mark.
Aye, but even just for, I'm talking about like their levels. I mean, they're definitely, the two of them are, for me, are good enough to play in any Celtic team playing just in the Scottish League and whatever. But it's again when you take that step up for Europe, isn't it?
Oh yeah, but that's a very fair point. But for me, Mark, you could go through pretty much the majority of the side, and you could say, I would say the majority of the side wouldn't be good enough for European football. That's an argument maybe for our discussion for another day. But I get what you're saying about the two lads, and I understand where that's coming from. But there's an awful lot more names that you could put into that hat as well.
Tenky saying KT back in the summer. I wouldn't be for that. Would you, Ter?
No, there's no. But surely with the greatest respect to Kieran Tierney, I loved him when he played with Celtic. But why would you? If James McCarthy isn't a template for you to show, why would you take back a player that has a consistently injured history down in the Premier League? Why would you take back Tierney? Tierney was constantly out for Arsenal, constantly injured, always out. He was an excellent player, but that's the terminology. He was. He's too injury prone. Do you bring back a player who's going to be on a big wage and consistently out? No, you don't. I don't feel it's a requirement. I would much rather them sign an upgrade on Greg Taylor if they're going to do that. That is your early 20s, 22, 23, has good experience behind him and can slot in there and play European football, no problem. Kieran Tierney, for me, is too injury prone to come back, and I don't like players coming back to clubs either. That's only my 2 cents in it.
I don't know. I mean, I don't even know. I think he's still got a year or two to run in his Arsenal contract. So they'll obviously be looking for someone. Evening, Kaiser. Thanks for coming in, mate. Nice to see you, madman. You took KT, but I mean, as you said, you bring back KT. He's going to be one of the top earners. You know what I mean? He's going to be that's one of the factors. We need to offer him kind of the top kind of money for him to come back. But again, he comes in. How long's he going to last? And then we're just back to Greg Taylor.
This is my point, Mark. I don't see the purpose of it. I really don't. And as much as I really look, when Tierney played with Celtic, he was a fantastic player. He was up and down all day. He was bombing it all day. But that's not Kieran Tierney. We know. This Kieran Tierney is really, really injury prone. He went to Spain for a year. If that Kieran Tierney played in Spain the same way he played with Celtic when we knew him, he wouldn't be leaving Spain.
His contract at Arsenal runs to 2026. Never saying he's out of contract. Contract at Arsenal's 2026.
But a Spanish team, Mark, if he went, I think he was with Real Sociedad or something like that. I could be wrong. But if he was with them and he was the Kieran Tierney that we knew of old, bombing up and down the wings all day, flying it up and down and doing the work rate and the crosses and the energy he had, he would be out of Celtic's price range. Celtic wouldn't be able to afford him because teams would be looking at him going, we're definitely going to sign him. We're going to pay 20 million. We're going to pay 22, 23, 25 million, whatever it is for him. But he's not. The lad is, unfortunately, he's become very, very injury prone. And he definitely wouldn't be for me, like.
23 games he's played this season, KT. James Forrest has played more games this season. Made more appearances, whatever. Henke, he's not enough free. His contract runs for 2026.
For me, it's a no anyway, Mark. That would just be my opinion. But again, everyone is entitled to their own opinion on it. But that would be mine. I don't think it would be good. I don't think it would be good for Celtic or good for the squad because the guy he's too injury prone, and we have enough guys that are doing little or nothing on a good wage at the minute. We don't need more.
I totally agree. Go for a better player. I mean, there is KT, isn't it? KT never became the player that he could have been, or should have been, because his injury problems. Do you know what I mean? See, when KT burst onto the scene, and I mean, Celtic fans, we were all slabbering the rights, and we maybe put a wee bit of exaggeration on it, but there was a lot of people who had a lot more knowledge of the game than me that basically looked at KT and says, if this boy keeps going the way he's going, he'll play at the very, very highest level.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
There was people saying that Arsenal was a stepping stone, Mark.
Exactly. It was a case of he'd go to Arsenal for a couple of years, and then one of the mega teams would probably come in for him and stuff like that. And it's just no. I mean, he said, fair play. I mean, he's not melting for Celtic, and in my opinion, is that Celtic played him a lot more than they should have. I think that's maybe where a lot of his injury problems have come into it. He played a hell of a lot of games for a young boy. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah.
He's not for me. Just no for coming back. No, not for me.
No, me neither, bud. Me neither.
You get better value for money out there. Of
course you would. Like I said, Mark, you could buy I don't know any names, so I'm not quoting any names. But you could get a fella, for argument's sake, from Feyenoord or right back. I'm using this as an example now before anyone jumps down my throat. A Feyenoord or PSV or something like that, who's a 22-year-old, 23-year-old, who's after breaking through in the last couple of years. You might get him for 4 or 5 million, 6 million. He might have a bit of European experience, played at Europa League or Champions League qualifiers or whatever it is, and would like a move. You know, that might be a guy that you could entice to come over, and he'd be a step up on Greg Taylor, for argument's sake, and then the two players have a good battle for a position. And you know that if either one plays, you have faith in either one playing. Yes, if you get the Dutch guy in, for argument's sake, he might have that little bit more quality than Greg Taylor, which was what you're looking for Champions Leagues or Europa Leagues or whatever you're in. And at the same time, you still have Greg Taylor, who you'd trust if he had to come in, he'd do an excellent job. That's just an example, obviously. I don't know any names. I'm just using it as an example, obviously.
The people that say that Greg Taylor's only 2 wee to be our left back, I'm sure Tierney's only about an inch taller than him.
Yeah, Tierney's not tall. Like, I wouldn't imagine he's that tall. What is he, 5'10"?
1.78 metres. Don't know what that is.
It's probably about 5'10", I'd say, is it?
5 feet 11.
You know, they always exaggerate. Let's be fair about it. Like,
anyway, no for me. We just need to aim higher. Even when you look at it, you've got to look at it as well, like for like the resale value as well. I mean, because that is Celtic. You know what I mean? But I would like to sort of go out and buy a team full of 28-year-old players in their prime and that, but that's never going to happen. Do you know what I mean? For me, it's going to be a left back that we've got the kind of old guard, the older type professional in Greg Taylor to be the backup to the new guy, and he can or the next season or that will maybe be a bit of a mix and match to get the new guy like settled into the team and stuff like that. But every position, I keep saying it, every position we've got to make an improvement on the best option and better than what we have. And is KT a better footballer than Greg Taylor? He is. Is he as reliable as Greg Taylor?
No, not even close.
Do you know what I mean? Greg Taylor, he's probably up there playing as many games as Callum McGregor every season the last couple of years.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. And just on the final point on the Tierney one, Mark, if they got Tierney in and all of a sudden he went crook after 2 games and he was out for ages, how many people would give the example of what we've just given of James McCarthy and go, can't believe the Celtic board are paying. He was always injured with Arsenal when he was out. He was always injured. Why did we buy him? That's what would happen. It's just leave it here. It's 100% no for me anyway.
Well, I'm agreeing with you on that there. Better value for money out there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just sentiment. I mean, see if Kieran Tierney had they been at Celtic, had they came through the ranks at Celtic and stuff like that, and we knew that he was available and that, would anybody actually want to sign him back?
I wouldn't think so. I mean?
That's the thing. If Kieran Tierney had no connection or nothing to Celtic, would anybody see him as that would be a good signing for us next year?
Oh, I know. Would it be? There's a little bit of the sentiment, Mark, of when Scott Brown retired, he should come back as an assistant coach or something like that. Do you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. Sometimes they lead with the heart overtakes the head, if you know what I mean.
Aye. Fuck rest. I want a Netflix documentary what McCarthy does every day. He's at training. That's the thing about it. He's at training every day. Just a weird one. It really was. We've still got another 2 years to go on his deal as well, I think, can't you? That was another crazy one. But again, I don't think there was a Celtic fan out there that didn't want it to go well for him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. But as I said, that just has to be the template, Mark, that they work on and go, look, it's a no-no. It's a simple no-no.
We'll go into this. What about this Red Gear debacle yesterday, Ter?
It's not like the guy wouldn't have history. He goes to make the tackle. He goes to win the ball. He probably goes to leave someone the player as well. And look, he doesn't get anywhere near the ball. It's a bad tackle. If it's a red card. I mean, they can say what they want. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, the VAR when you pause it, it shows where his foot is, and it's in a bad position. And it's always going to be a red card when the VAR shows where it is in the still. The same way when you see, like, for instance, like the Yang one there against Hearts, when they pause it, the boot's in the guy's face. This one, his boot's halfway up his leg. It's a poor tackle, but it's not like he doesn't have previous. And I have to say, Mark, as well, where we have been for a lot of the season, rightly at times critical of the officials, they got a lot of the big decisions right yesterday, and credit, like, in fairness, they gave a yellow. VAR looked at it and said, no, you need to look at this again. And they did, and they gave the red. They did the same with the penalty. They called it, they looked at it, and he stuck with his decisions. So where we have been very critical at times of the officiating, I thought for certain those incidents to yesterday, you have to give credit where it was due. But I think it was a red card, and especially once you see it in the VAR, it's no question about it. Look, everyone in the studio thought it was a red card, bar obviously Kenny Miller.
I've got a video here, Terry, and I'm going to put up, and it's the angle, feel like, behind Butland's goal. It's that one.
And the second half, he's got to go. He's got to walk. He's got to get to fuck. It is a red card. Commentator's eye. And that is a fucking sending off cheating hunt bastard, if you ever saw one. If in doubt, cheat your way out. That is the Rangers' philosophy. Look at this.
See the one where you see it for the front? You can take that for me convinces me that's a red card every day, all day.
Oh, do you reckon it's a red card? Like, I don't know what Kenny Miller was watching.
Kenny Miller was losing the plot all through that game. He really was. I mean, it was so. I heard at one point he was moaning, why is Willie Collum so angry with players?
I saw that, yeah.
What's he on about? And then after it, I don't know what he was going on about. Chris Sutton was mortified standing next to him listening to that. Evening, Alex. Thanks for coming in, mate.
Well, Mark, you've everyone in the studio, even Chris Boyd saying, look, it's a Stonewall red card.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And he'd defend the indefensible at times, but he even knew it was a red card. You know, so there was no getting away from it. Like,
I'm surprised Sutton didn't even say to him, look, Chris in the studio's even disagreeing with you, Kenny. Come on, do you know what I mean? For that simple reason, Chris Boyd would argue black was white.
I think he was just laughing too much at him, to be honest. He just was like, "There's no point me having an argument with him here because he just doesn't see it." Like, but look, it's a red card every day of the week. As I said, fair play to the officials for calling it as well.
Maybe a flashback to Big Simunovic's tackle on him.
Possibly, but he won the ball in that one. There was no ball to be won there yesterday, you know.
He made himself look a complete clown yesterday. Maybe he did. Maybe he had a free bar before it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and he scored a goal of the season for Celtic as well. So, you know, fair play to him. You know, that has to go down as goal. That has to go down as goal of the season in the Celtic. In the Celtic in the season awards, surely. See that yesterday throwing stuff at Tarvin. That's ridiculous. No, there isn't. That's stupid, man.
You have to just lower yourself to their standards. It
did
look like a grinder. I said that as well.
Yeah, that's what they said. But you can't argue and say, you know, what they're doing when Celtic are at Ibrox is a disgrace. And then I'm not saying it's as bad, but regardless of what you're doing, when you're throwing something at a player, you're trying to defend the indefensible. You can't argue that it's, well, just because they done it, we can do it, but they shouldn't. You know, if you're throwing something at it, I hope the individual who did throw it was basically picked out or basically pointed out and escorted out of the stadium, because it has no business in football. Look, you can say what you want about Rangers players and whatever, you don't like them or this and that. That's fine. We can all say that they're not our fondest or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's a game of football. Celtic won it. We're all delighted. But if that hits a guy in the face and for argument's sake he loses an eye, what has that achieved? Like, what has that achieved? Like, it has achieved absolutely nothing. It helps Celtic in no way, shape, or form doing that, behaving like that. Not one shot does it help Celtic. If anything, it gives them more ammunition to go, oh, look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing. They're throwing it. Our player could have been hit and and it nearly takes away all the stuff that occurred in Ibrox for the last few years. And now it'll be all turned in Celtic.
Because see, when we were talking about like throwing the bottle at Matt O'Reilly and things like that, the glass in Joe Hart's box, you know, that game, stuff like that, all the incidents here, even John Kennedy got hit at the last game at Ibrox.
Yeah.
Did one of the coaches not get hit before at Ibrox with a coin or something as well and get
the physio
open? The physio
did. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's none of this kind of uproar. But so they seem to be bringing all of these incidents up. All they used to have was about Rangers hit Hugh Dallas with a coin. Yeah. 20 odd years ago. We're talking about stuff you have done this season, and then some arsehole in our support goes and does that yesterday. Because that's what I'm not saying you're listening in here, some big guy that everybody listens to, but if you're listening, you're an arsehole, mate. Honest to God, you're an absolute arsehole. That's all you are. Bringing shame on Celtic and the fans. I'll tell you, see if I was standing at football and one of my pals done that, I'd crack him. I'd turn him and give him a belt in the mouth for that.
Yeah, but as I said, Mark, because now when the discussion is made about throwing objects at the derby games, they will include both clubs. Because they have proof. You can say all you want that they thrown X, Y, and Z, and he was hit, and this fella was hit, but they'll turn around and go, well, there was stuff thrown at our captain.
Mm.
Was there? Yeah. And there's no defence to say that it wasn't, because it was picked up and handed to the referee, and that'll be handed in to whoever the match report is, or the head of police or whatever, and that will be that was thrown at Tavernier. And what you'll have from that, Mark, is as well as because they said it was a grinder. For argument's sake, you will have people adding fuel to the fire, saying, "Oh, it was a drug related blah blah blah." You could have really said it's a drug related thing that people are taking drugs before the games and they're allowed into the stadium and this is what's happening. And I know that sounds really really childish what I'm saying there, but you'd be surprised things like this can gather legs.
Aye. Just somebody brings that up and it just gathers legs, and that's what the kind of the story becomes into it.
It'll deflect a lot of what occurred beforehand and push it towards someone else. Because we had the argument that there was people saying, oh, there was individuals allegedly taking stuff before games when it was on over in their place, and people saw this, and there was bottles and there was everything, there was coins thrown. There was nothing happening until that yesterday.
Aye.
And now that will be put into the equation as well, that, oh, well, this is the first game and they're throwing stuff as well and the whole lot. And, it just overshadows a lot of stuff at times. Unnecessarily to me.
And it just helps the people that going about, it's two sides of the same coin, two cheeks of the same arse. It only helps these people justify their kind of comments when we're doing things that just
exactly,
stupid as they're doing.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's basically, well, they're doing the same as what we're doing, so you have to hammer them as much as you're hammering us. Even if it's only just one individual, it's still one individual in the Celtic end, Celtic jersey on them, Celtic flag, scarf on them, whatever it may be, but it's in the Celtic end. Celtic end was thrown at our captain, missed our captain, but an object was still thrown at our captain, is what they'll say. So whoever done that hasn't a brain in their head, like.
No. Evening, San Francisco. Nice to see you, mate. Craig Young. Thanks for coming in, bud. The Pork Chop Express. Thanks for coming in, mate. That's some name, that, isn't it? Parkhead boy. Thank you very much. Maestro as well. I think that's one of you guys. Matt O'Reilly's performance yesterday, Terence.
Yeah,
apart from the penalty. Wow.
He's just he's Rolls Royce, like, isn't he?
We've said about McGregor not being up to his usual standards for a lot of the games this season. I know Matt O'Reilly's been off the boil a wee bit for some games after all the transfer speculation that in January, but he's got to get down as one of the best players that's been playing in Scotland in the last 20 years. Easily, really, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's probably, as I said, he's had a slight little dip after the kind of winter break, but he's come back strong in the last while. Like, he must be head and shoulders the player of the year. Like, he must be, even in Scotland.
Well, did Shanklin not get it?
I didn't even know now, Mark, to be honest. That's probably showing my naivety. I didn't know if he got it. I don't know, but if he did, it says a lot. But he's been simply outstanding for all season. Well, certainly he'd be the best Celtic player when it comes to the player of the year awards for Celtic. He's been outstanding, like.
Well, actually, the voting went out. I actually voted for Greg Taylor because O'Reilly had been going through a wee slump. But he's another one that the last few games has come back into his prime.
Yeah. Apart from the penalty yesterday, the penalty was poor, but other than that, he was outstanding. Like.
And at least he came out and admitted it. Do you know what I mean? He admitted himself. It was shit and he made an arse shape, basically. But, everybody's just, pardon me, everybody's so kind of resigned to losing him, man. But I just think Celtic should just make him an offer, just even for a year. Do you know what I mean? On some bumper contract, just to keep him about the team for another year.
Well, like Mark, at the end of the day, like, okay, yes, I know it's majority of it's about, 95% or 99% is a bit about money. I get that, but why not Celtic offer him even a 2-year deal and go, well, we'll give you X, Y, and Z, because if a team comes in for Matt O'Reilly, and Matt O'Reilly's only got a year left, they'll pay X amount. If Matt O'Reilly's got 3 years left, Celtic can then demand X amount and say, if you want him, that's fine, but you have to pay us this.
But he just did sign a new contract terms just last year. Do you know what I mean? So I think.
But you can improve it again. Why not?
I definitely. I mean,
because you see that with a lot of players.
They've done that with. They've done it with that Tavernier, and they've done it with that Morelos, and they actually gave that Morelos all these fancy new contracts that actually priced him out a move. Nobody else would match the money that he was getting there.
Yeah. But that's what
Kaiser's saying. I know he's a love for Brendan. That's a thing as well. He came out and spoke to him in Ange, didn't he? He didn't really like Ange's way of managing. He seems to really appreciate the way Rodgers treats him as a player, and that's a. I mean, is a Champions League team going to come in for him?
You would think so. You would think so, Mark. I would think so. Because you have to look at O'Reilly's performances. Which caught the eye was in Europe. Like we can say all we want about how he's performed in Scotland, but there was a stage there where the Celtic had played 4 matches. He was probably man of the match in 2 of them, if not questionably 3 of them. You know, he was excellent in the Champions League. So I like at the end of the day, the likes of, I know the Atletico Madrid one was a bit of a ridiculous one, loan to buy kind of thing, but at the end of the day, he's still done enough to have them had a look at him. And I would love to see Celtic go to him, look, sign a new approved 2-year contract. If someone comes in, a really kind of I won't say super power, but a good European side, they're looking for you, and they're willing to give us X, Y, and Z. We'll basically between ourselves agree that we'll let you go.
Well, that's the way Celtic business model is. Do you know what I mean? Bids will come in and they always kind of, if it's acceptable to the club.
But if they write it into the contract, Mark, if they write it into the contract and say, if we get an offer of 25 million for you, we have it in contract. No one else needs to know about it. Me, you, or the club, your agent, you know about it. If we get an offer of 25 million for you from any side, and you're happy to go to that side, we have it in the contract, and we let you go. I don't necessarily do the gentleman's agreement, because that's very frivolous. That's pie in the sky stuff. Going, look, if we get it, we'll let you go. And then but you said you'd let me go. No, we didn't say that. We said this. Whereas if you have it in black and white and go, you might get the possibility of the individual signing the contract, going, okay, I know if Atletico Madrid come in for me again and they're willing to pay 25 million and I want to go to Atletico Madrid, Celtic will let me go. Until then, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to play. And if anything, you might try and see a player really stand out, really perform, put himself in the shop window. Especially now that if please God, next week, whenever it's that the Celtic wrap up the title, that they know they're in Europe, they know now they have, 8 games. So you really have a chance to put yourself in the shop window and go, look, I can do it at the top table here. I can do it with the big guys. And this is where a bigger club, i.e. a bigger European club, could come in and go, yeah, he's the kind of guy we need to get that next step for us. Who knows?
And I think just when you hear him speaking and what we know about him for reading him and stuff like that, I think I don't think he's a type of player that is like chasing the money for himself. You know what I mean? Obviously,
it doesn't appear that way.
It took 6 months out the game before he went to MK Dons, didn't he? Because he wasn't getting. Was it Fulham he was with or something? He didn't feel as if he got a fair crack of the whip. He took it. So I think he is mere. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, see, like Atletico Madrid, they've got the head bang a manager. Right? They've got that kind of continuity stuff. Right? He's not going to get sacked anytime soon, Simone, is he? But
No.
other teams, he'd maybe look at it and he'd be like, oh, I'm getting out of there, he's right, I'm getting this money, that money, but a couple of bad results and the manager's out the door. Do you know what I mean? Things like that, and then maybe he's left, and the new manager coming in doesn't fancy him. I think Matt O'Reilly, it'll come down to what he wants to do, obviously, but I don't think, unless there's a deal already done, I don't think he's actually 100% for leaving. I think there is maybe a wee inkling that Celtic could maybe keep him.
Well, I think the fact, Mark, is he feels a lot happier than he was. Mm-hmm. Like if the Spurs manager was still here this year, he wouldn't be here. That's a given. In my opinion, he wouldn't be here if the Spurs manager was here. But he seems a lot happier with Rodgers. He seems a lot content. His football is clearly suggesting that because he's playing outstanding football. So, yeah, look, I mean, as I said, if Rodgers could sit down and talk to him and say, look, this is what we can do, X, Y, and Z, and if this does happen, we can look at it, or whatever way they want to talk about it. You know, it would be great to keep him there for another while. And yeah, look, eventually if something happens and he gets an offer he can't refuse, you can't blame the lad.
As well, I know, I suppose maybe even thinking the club's actual transfer policy has got to have an effect on players. See, like Matt O'Reilly, that's kind of maybe at a wee crossroads in his career. You know what I mean? It's like, if Celtic's saying, if Brendan Rodgers is saying to him, look, Matt, X, Y, Z's happened behind the scenes. I've got a hell of a more say in the transfers that are coming in, whatever, and stuff like that. We're really going to try and make an effect in Europe next season. We're bringing in these players. We're trying to bring in these players. We've got these ones already not signed up, but ready just to push the button way. And see that Celtic's showing a level of ambition to like match his, even just for this season. Because let's face it, this is probably going to be our last season in the Champions League for a while, isn't it? That's his most automatic place, isn't it? So I think that's see, and why not hang about for 1 more year with Matt and see how it goes, how far we can go with these improvements that I'm going to make to the team. More players that are at the level of you and Callum and Carter Vickers and whatever. Do you know what I mean? Still, Brendan Rodgers needs to sell him his vision if he's going to have any hope of keeping him.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But at the same time as what you said as well, Mark, Rodgers needs to sell him the vision. But Rodgers needs to be something that he hasn't been so far, is backed by the board. Just to ensure that vision is completed or is seen through. You know? That is a big factor, and it's a very fair point what you're saying. If Rodgers can basically say that to O'Reilly and say, "Look, this is what's happening. I want you to be a focal point of it." You know, that could be a carrot for O'Reilly to stay as well, because he knows the club. He's happy at the club. Give him another bumper contract. He deserves it. See what the story is. Try get him there at least for another year. If he stays, great. And if he plays super football and you get another big offer, then great. And so wish the boy all the best for his future, and let him go.
It just seems to be this acceptance every summer that like one of our top players is further off, and even the club seem to just accept these things. Do you know what I mean?
But they nearly use it like a safety net, Mark. For years it was a safety net that if Celtic didn't qualify for the Champions League, the best player was sold. For argument's sake, when they didn't qualify there a couple of years ago, Edward was going to be sold. Or that just brings to mind, Edward was going to be sold, or someone else was going to be. It was always Dembele. He was going to be sold. Yeah. Oh yeah. Do you know what I mean? When they have guys there that, we haven't got there, but it's grand. We lost out in 40 million. It's grand, but we can get 25 for him. We can make up the difference. That seemed to be the mantra. That if we didn't get there, we can sell him. And it was nearly an acceptance by Celtic fans that, if we don't qualify for the Champions League now, we're going to have to sell this guy or that guy or this guy. Which was like, it was even suggested a couple of years ago that it was Callum McGregor was going to be gone because of the same thing after Rodgers had left. When they didn't qualify, it was like, oh, he's probably going to be gone to Leicester now or whatever it was. But that's the problem. But that's the acceptance that was there by the board and by the fans. But it was by the fans because the problem was there was a history of it. So it was common knowledge nearly that, okay, we don't qualify, this guy or that guy's gone. If we don't qualify, he's gone. You know, it was basically like a case, well, if we didn't qualify, we have to balance the books somewhere.
I see that. Let's talk about 60 million for the Champions League. That's no true. We're no guaranteed £60 million for the Champions League. It's just I think it's maybe possible earnings and stuff like that. But wait, I'll just actually look it up. Put it up in the forum earlier on. Old Tim Malloy asked me about it earlier on, so I've done a wee bit of digging it. But I'd done it before, but I couldn't find the note that I'd kept here.
Imagine it would be up around the 40 million anyway, Mark, would it? For 8 games anyway.
Where did that go to now, man? But it's like 15 million for getting into it. Right,
15?
You get 15.9 for qualifying for the league, for the Champions League, right? You get 1.8 million for you get 1.8 million for a win, 0.6 million for a draw. You finish in the top half of the league, you get 1.7 million. If you finish in the bottom 28, you get 0.9 million. And if you reach the round of 16, you get 9.4 million on top of that. Right, that's the guaranteed figures. That's took off the actual UEFA PDF documents about the money. So I don't know where this 60 million is coming from, right? Unless people have, it's because I did see I know that maybe somebody like Bawz could come up with rough figures of potential earnings for tickets, TV money, and there's a big payment. I think we get 9 million that came to us before to do with a position in the coefficient table. You know what I mean? But there's definitely no guarantee that we'll get £60 million.
But what I'm saying is maybe the figure was probably with you're going to have 4 home games, you're going to get this, you're going to have television, you're going to have television probably 4 times, whatever it is at home games, you're going to get this. Maybe it was maybe the figure that was there was accumulated, that there's a potential to earn 60 million between all the television rights, the commercial rights, the ticket rights, the wins, the getting into the competition, the whole. Maybe that's all bundled into one, Mark. I don't know. I'm not.
A lot of people did come under the impression that it was just a case of we qualify and that's us guaranteed £60 million. I mean, it's still great money. And once you add in all the TV money, the tickets and stuff like that, it will be a hell of a lot of money. And it'll put.
Well, you'd imagine it's up to the 40 anywhere, somewhere, Mark. Surely.
Easily.
You know, you're looking at 40 to 60, depending on obviously results and stuff like that, and that's understandable. But listen, if it's 40 million, it's 40 million on top of 70 million that they've already got in the bank. There's no 100 million. 100 million. You know what I mean? It's huge. Like,
do you think there's any other team in the world that's sitting with the amount of money Celtic's sitting with in the bank?
I wouldn't even think Real Madrid are sitting with that in the bank.
No, even Man City won't be sitting with that in the bank. You know
but those teams, Mark, in fairness to them, those teams, they, as I said before, they speculate to accumulate. And I know people will argue, yes, they have endless pots of money, and I get all that side of it, but they still don't spend all their transfers on £1 million players. Do you know, they just don't like.
But as it's, Man City are waiting with all these charges for their financial shenanigans and stuff like that. I'm not sticking up for the board, or you know how I feel about them, but we give them some amount of grief. But for a club like Celtic, for the league that we're in and stuff like that, the domestic game we've got, the money that you get for winning the league and stuff like that, for us even to earn that kind of money, you've got to give guys credit for that.
Oh, listen, there's parts of the club, Mark, where you would say like it was probably a discussion again for another day at the season end. Remember, we had it at the start of the season. But there's parts of the club that are exceptionally run, and then there's other parts of it that you think like it's like amateur status kind of run. You know, I mean, and I mean for them to have a situation where they've got that amount of revenue and assets in a bank or liquidity that they can use is. Look, it's quite simply stunning for a club of Celtic, considering where they play and everything they've done, which is 100%. You give the powers to be exceptional credit on that. The flip side of it is they don't do a lot with it. That's the other side of it.
Well, they've put pork chops in Man City. Sheik will be sitting with that in his pouch. I agree with that. That's the owner. Well, Dermot Desmond's sitting there over £1 billion in his pouch. I know, Celtic, aren't they? Man City made their last profits were £80 million. That's Man City's last accounts. Their profits were £80 million. All that money they spend, and they only made £80 million.
And they won the Champions League.
And that's for annual report for 23-24. Revenues is £712 million. Nearly £100 million more than the previous season, along with record profits at £80.4 million. So
they won the treble, like they won. You know, they won the richest, the richest two prizes that you can win in the football, for club football. They won the Premier League, and they won the European Cup, Champions League, whatever you call it. You know, so they've maxed out on prize money on those two. I'm assuming the Premier League probably pays out the most about the money. So please correct me if I'm wrong. But I imagine that the Champions League are the two highest, and they won the two of them, and obviously they won the FA Cup as well. So you know they've won. So that's all I would say, Mark. What Celtic have achieved to get the revenue that they've had in it it's stunning. But to keep that revenue, they have to invest that revenue, and they have to invest it wisely. And they certainly haven't done it this season. So I hope next season they realise that it has to be done. Again, you have to speculate, accumulate, but do it properly.
They need to. I mean, really, but it's like, what else could Celtic do with this money? I mean, people say, we're going about, I mean, it's all we want, I look at the board and that, they just want to stay one step ahead of them for govern. They need to keep the Scottish kind of interest with the big drama of Celtic and Rangers playing and all that stuff. So to do that means that Celtic just are going to just sit and accumulate millions upon millions of pounds in the bank. At some point, there's got to be a break in the ice that somebody at Celtic says, here, we're actually holding ourselves back because we can make even more money.
Oh, yeah.
That guys are a lot of people going about building up the main stand and stuff like that. But we can't even fill our game for, apart from the derbies and European nights, we can't even fill Celtic Park. I see it every week on the live chats. I amount of empty seats at Celtic Park, it's embarrassing, it's ridiculous.
But at the same time, Mark, I can understand what guys are saying and what you're saying as well. But like if Celtic making profits and it's for the club, you don't necessarily have to then just take that profit in and spend it to rebuild the stand or whatever. Like all businesses, and at the end of the day, Celtic is a business. It's a football club to millions of fans around the world, but it's a business. Like they're not just going to take 25 million and build a new stand. They borrow a loan. They get a loan on the basis of what they have and go, well, the stand needs to be redone. That's going to cost us 6 million. We need to get 6 million from whoever it may be their bankers. They have already got 80, 100 million, whatever it may be in the bank. That's an automatically given to them, that money to do the stand. It's not taken out like the petty cash or the 60 million or 50 million what they're having just redo the stand. It's not done like that. You know, that's all going to be divided in a certain way, that this is going to be allocated for wages for people in the club. This is going to be for transfers. This is going to be for this. This is going to be for that. this is going to be for the general run and maintenance, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, Celtic are in a very, very strong and powerful position. Probably the most powerful position they've ever been in, I imagine, financially. Again, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, and I have no problem with it. But I can't remember for the years I've been supporting Celtic that they've had this kind of finances ever. No. And as I said, so I mean, I just hope going forward that they've learned from the mistakes of this season, because I know the season isn't finished yet, and you'll probably have one of those reviews of the season, because I remember we had it at the start of the season, and we can probably chat about it then. But I hope Celtic, once they get over the line in the league, and please God they can win the cup and get a league and cup double, that's put to bed, and then the club and Brendan Rodgers and who's ever supposed to be coming in to replace Mark Lawwell and Michael Nichols, and they all sit down and they all sing off the same hymn sheet and just go, we cannot do what we did last year. We cannot buy £1 and £2 million players and expect to compete with Atletico Madrid. That just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. You get a Matt O'Reilly once every 20 years, if you're lucky. But, very few other guys are a Matt O'Reilly's. And for Celtic to compete in the Champions League next year, there's no knockdown into the Europa League. It's straight Champions League, if I'm not mistaken. Do the Celtic board want Celtic to go out and get spanked again? Or does the Celtic board want them to go out and compete? And if they want them to compete, they need to spend money on good quality players that can play at that level and can also play in Scotland and win the league for Celtic again.
Aye.
Not this, with the greatest respects to the guys they brought in, and I've not been disparaging to the Yangs or Holm or any of the other lads, even Palma to an extent. These guys, they need to bring in guys that have that little bit of an X factor. I'm not saying Celtic spent 20 million on a player, because that's not going to happen. But I would love to see Celtic just go, okay, we need to change our mindset and become competitive here. To do that, we need to do this. Look at Copenhagen. Prime example.
Aye.
I
say this all the time. I'm not that bothered terms with with actual the transfer fees that we pay. Really, it's more up our wage bill and offer players more money. I mean, a guy that maybe have cost us 10 million last summer because he had 2 years in his deal left might only cost 3 million this year because he's only got 1 year left in his deal. But it's it's the wages we're paying that the players aren't interested in.
Like the lad, is it the Brazilian lad that were linked at the start of the season who played with Leicester? Is it Tillo? No, not Tillo. He's the Tete, yeah. Like, he was a free. He was a free.
I know.
So why say, well, we would have paid 3 million for him. Right, we'll give him those 3 million in wages.
Mm-hmm.
And a bit more, whatever it may be. I'm not saying per season, but you know what I mean? Give him 50 grand a week.
Give him the 3 million as I said, a signing on fee.
Or whatever, yeah, give him a carrot and give him whatever it is. If it's 50 grand a week, I don't know what it is, whatever he's, but times have changed, and to compete at the Champions League level, and by compete, I mean be competitive. I don't mean get out of the groups, because I think at this level and the new draw system, it'll be even harder. I really do. I think like last season, Celtic had a really good chance. They got a group that they could have qualified out of with Atletico Madrid maybe were a little bit more ahead of the other teams in it, but the other two teams weren't a million miles away from Celtic's level. Whereas next year you could get horrible groups. You know what I mean? So I just think Celtic need to be able to compete in it. I don't think they'll ever get out of it, but to compete in it would be my thing.
The way this new system works, right? The top 8 teams get through to the last round, and the middle section of the league, they play in a playoff round.
Okay.
And then the bottom ones get straight out. And for me, I mean, is it 90, 70, 90, 24 or something positions in the league? Surely to God, Celtic have got to be aiming to get into that bit of the league where they get into the playoff round, to get into the last 16.
Oh, listen, I didn't know that was the breakdown, no, Mark. I honestly didn't know the breakdown. But if that's the case, then yeah, Celtic then have to be aiming for the third position in that. Maybe this, if they're lucky in the draw, maybe it's a fight between them and second, maybe. But certainly they have to be aiming to get the third position in that, if that's the case.
There is a
playoff, you know what I mean?
A third position, and this one means you're out there. But I know what you mean. The third position, it's the middle. It's like the top get through, the top bit get through, the middle playing a playoff round, and then the bottom ones, they get hunted. But surely Celtic are aiming to at least get into that playoff round, and that would give 10 Champions League games next season.
Okay, and how many? Again, excuse my ignorance here, Mark, but how many teams are in the group, or is that the way it's based?
There's no group terms.
Okay,
it's one big league of 32 teams.
All right.
That's it.
Okay.
Is it 32, maybe be 36. 2 seconds. I'll just look up what I put up on the forum earlier again. It's a 32 group stage, right? No,
right.
A single league. There's a single league of 36 teams, and that's split into 4 pots for seeding. Right? You'll play 8 different teams, 2 for each pot, 1 home and 1 away. And then the top 8 teams in the 36 league table, they qualify for the last 16. 9 to 24 play off with a two-legged seeded system to get through. And bottom positions of 25 to 36, that's the aim out of Europe. There's no dropped into the Europa League. So all Celtic need today is finish in 9th place to 24th place to get into this playoff round, to get into the last 16.
Okay,
so
I get you now.
For me, this is kind of prime time for Celtic. As I said, we're maybe going to struggle because we'll have qualifiers for Europe, but this is a good time for Celtic to invest in the team terms and put a marker down in Europe. We don't need to come just first or second. All we need to do is get enough points out of these 8 games to finish in this 9 to 24 spot.
Yeah, okay. And that, and without a doubt, but that again, Mark, comes down to the powers to be to go, we have to break our wage structure, we have to break our transfer structure, and we have to break our own mentality and go. People must be bored of listening to me saying this.
I know.
The 5 million 5 years ago.
You feel as if you're repeating yourself all the time on
here.
Here.
The 5 million 5 years ago is not 5 million today. And the Celtic board need to understand that. A £3 million player today is a £1 million player 5 years ago. Celtic need to break their transfer record of 9 million, which is frightening for a club of Celtic size to think that that's the most they've ever spent on a player. But as I said, I'm not standing here saying Celtic should be spending 30 million on a player. I understand that's not logical, but it is logical for Celtic to go, okay, let's go the £8 million player. If there's a £12 million real gem there that could really strike us for the Champions League and give us a bit of an X factor, then he's the guy we might get. Do you know what I mean? If he's that different gravy, as they call it. But
a talisman. That's what we're needing. We're needing a talisman, like a Henrik Larsson type of player. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, to be honest, Mark, I would love them to. You need kind of a star player, a star guy that, in a sense, is already known. I know that sounds funny in the way I'm saying it, but that you know that, he's played for. We just say he's been playing for either Michael's crowd. Say Atlanta. I know they're in the final of, is it Europa League or something like that? Aye. But I'm just using that as an example now. They might be out of Celtic's price range, but suppose they've got some kind of a star guy in there that Celtic could get, and everyone knows him as that, oh God, he's serious, he was their main guy, he was this, that. That's the kind of individual I would love to see there, like, you know, but they just have to change the way they think, Mark. They just have to, and I know we say it till we're blue in the face, and people must be sick of listening to me say it anyway, but they need to change it, especially with this new system. And if it's a case that Celtic can't get between 9th and 24th, there's something seriously wrong.
Aye, that's my take on it, Terence. It really is.
You know,
it's one of the things that the club needs to try and get a bit of pride back in themselves in the European scene, Terence. I mean,
it's been shocking, Mark.
We're laughing at Rangers and that, but for some strange reason they seem to do well. But again, there's a massive difference in quality between the Champions League and the Europa League. No, I mean, they went from being Europa League finalists to being the worst team ever in the Champions League in the space of 6 months. So you've got to think it that way, but they've still got a bit of actual standing in Europe than we have now. I mean, what is it for your last one, a knockout game, and all these kind of things? And I don't know what it is with Celtic, that they just seem to have this kind of block when it comes to Europe. We just seem to...
It's like they freeze.
Aye. I mean, even there was games terms we've said that were played well in, we know we should have got something out of it, and again, we just didn't. It's fine margins, wage, you know what I mean? Celtic's never, with a few pumping, we're not getting away from that, and some crazy decisions for managers, including Rodgers, to go toe-to-toe with these top-notch teams, which is just craziness. But we've just got to do something this year, especially as it could be the last time for a good few years that we do get into the Champions League. We've got to put down a marker and at least show a bit of pride and have a crack at this year, in my opinion. It's got to be... We can't just get into this the same as we've done with half-arse signings and Callum McGregor playing as a CDM and stuff like that. We've got to have this well planned out, and Rodgers has got to have a plan. And
it's got to be backed.
Aye, but even on the park, I'm talking about terms, to tweak his tactics and tweak his system to suit the European game playing. Do you know what I mean? We can't go and attack European teams in the Champions League the way we attack teams in Scotland. We've tried to do that and get pumped.
Oh yeah, and then fully agree with you, Mark. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they need to get proper recruitment in, quality recruitment in, and yeah, the manager, they need to be cute. Like if you're playing Real Madrid away, I have no problem if Celtic want to play five in midfield and have basically nearly 2 holding midfielders that don't budge, and you've got nearly 6 at the back, and you're just playing with a lone striker up there who runs into the ground, and then you change for another one. I have no problem if Celtic want to play that way when they're playing against some of those bigger sides in Europe. I do have a problem if they think that, like the previous manager, who's at toe-to-toe with these teams and got absolutely battered. Now Rodgers did the same when he was here against PSG and all that, think that they can go toe-to-toe with them, and got battered. So, I'd agree with you, Mark, but I said I think Celtic need to first and foremost make sure that they get over the line, get the league done. It's nearly there now. When it comes to Europe, they need to say to themselves, what do you want? Do you want to be the whipping boys, or do you want to be actually competitive? Because look, at the end of the day, this whole Celtic in Europe thing, to be fair, kind of does my head in a bit. You know, it's good. It's great. A Celtic night, European nights at Celtic Park are special. They're not really. They're getting hammered. You know, I take it that the atmosphere and everything at the game and everything else is amazing, but like we're getting 4 goals not matched at home isn't great. Like
you don't get a point for having a good crowd, and again, it's like just like a kind of it's a carnival. No, the score doesn't matter. We had a great night. Look at the Tifo, the Green Brigade done and stuff like that. Good night, Brian. Thanks very much for coming in again, mate, and all your support, bud. Really appreciate it.
I'd rather it be a horrible place for him to come and play, and that's the problem. And that's the problem with Rangers. They make it a horrible place.
Yeah, me and Mikey say that all the time. You can't see that the atmosphere that they're producing that for these European games isn't affecting other teams.
Has to be. They make it a horrible place to go and play, and listen,
I really give them any credit. Like see when Barcelona come and all the arse kissing for Barcelona players, it did man nothing. It's like, you know, like, nice try, wee man, like a wee part in the heat after them and that. It does my boxing. I want they come in and say, oh, that atmosphere, one of the best I've played in. I want them to come in and say it's one of the worst I've played in. I've said this before, I'm not saying we go full Turkish mode, going pure daft and like throwing pig seeds at folk like you've done the Figo and stuff, but make it a horrible place so that, oh, I hate going there. You don't want players to they can come in and say, oh, the atmosphere's great, but I don't enjoy playing there. You get what I mean? That should be the way it is.
I would like it to be. I would personally like it to be like it would be for Derby.
Mm-hmm.
I would like it. I would like the European nights there, the mentality to be same as it was for Derby, that you have a massive disliking to the opposition and make it as horrible a night as you can make it legally, so to speak. Not anything ridiculous like throwing stuff or any of that kind of nonsense, but just making it a really, really uncomfortable night for the opposition.
Even down to simple things, terms like, see, for the full 90 minutes, see every time an opposition players get the ball, just boo them.
Oh yeah,
This is what these European teams in that day. You know what I mean? Every time an opposition players get the ball, boo them. I mean, Celtic Park, you know. I mean, even yesterday, I thought the atmosphere. I don't know if anybody was at the game, how it was at the game, but a lot of it came across on the telly is pretty flat. Because again, all you've got is the Green Brigade and the boys trying to make any kind of atmosphere. You go to Ibrox and there's a lot more than the Onion Bears trying to make it. Do you know what I mean? There's groups in all the stands trying to make noise and create an atmosphere. Whereas there's far too many Celtic fans sit there with their phones out, videoing the Green Brigade, thinking, oh, this is part of the experience. You need to just sit and watch. They sit and watch the Green Brigade rather than join in with their songs and join in and help create atmosphere. They're too busy making videos for Twitter and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But look, they just, hopefully, as I said, Mark, they can get it over the line next week, and then hopefully they're planning already the club, because they've been an embarrassment in Europe. There's no two ways about it, and we can all say what we want, and we all scratch our head. The team across the city have been the direct opposite, and every year we say we've much better side, but they churn out results in Europa leagues and stuff like that, whatever it may be. You know, Celtic need to change the way their mantra and change their mentality and become a side that teams don't want to draw, not do want to draw.
Joe Paul said he thought the atmosphere was good yesterday. Well, I mean, some of the guys I talked to that are in the standing section, they said it was great, but I've been in there with them, and it is at the game, and then see when you watch the highlights, it just seems to be in there. Do you get what I mean by that, Joe Paul? But it's just something that needs to be the ticket exchange. That's something. It's actually pretty embarrassing that we don't have that. It really is. You know what I mean? That you can't, if you're not going to the game, you can't sell your ticket through the club, reissue it to somebody that wants to go to the game and stuff like that. And that's one of the reasons that Ibrox is packed out every single week. I mean, we can brag about we've got 50,000 season ticket holders and stuff like that. But they're not going to a lot of them aren't going to the games. There's one wee bit right across for the tunnel, and I notice it every week. Every time I watch a Celtic game, apart from the big games, there's these wee clump of seats that are always empty. So it must be just I mean, maybe they can't afford to come every week working, whatever, but they come when they want. But every seat at Celtic Park should be full for every game. For me, there's no reason for it not to be.
Mark, with the amount of modern day technology that's there, and the amount of, if you want to call it, apps and all these other things that are available, it's a no-brainer that should be in place. For argument's sake, if I had a season ticket, like there's lads in the supporters club have a season ticket in the Sean South one. So I think there's 4 season tickets. They clearly don't go every week. They couldn't afford to physically go or every second week from Ireland. So there's obviously weeks where I don't know if the ticket's taken up. But it should be a situation where they could go to Celtic.
I'd buy that if you Burnley coming out and there was a ticket kind of scheme, I would buy that every week. You know, I need a code to put on my phone or something that I'd bought that ticket for that week. It can't be that hard to do. If Rangers can do it, it can't be that hard to do.
Yeah, exactly. This is my point, Mark. The club should have someone that basically, this is your job. This is what I want you to do every week. This is your job. And you know, people aren't coming to the game. And obviously, if you get 75% of the people, Mark, who don't go to the game, who aren't going to the game, or 80% of the people contacting you saying, "I'm not going, want to resell the ticket." Do you know what I mean? That's money going to the individual, and there's someone taking the seat as well at the same time. Even if you get 3/4 of the people doing that, it's going to fill an awful lot more seats than what the empty ones that are left there, as you said, on a continuous basis. Like, and it's kind of like a poor business model that you kind of go, well, I sold the ticket, I got the money. After someone sits there to do, if they don't, they don't. Rather than going, okay, hold on a minute, I've sold that seat. Billy can't make it this week, but I can sell that seat again. And I can give him a percentage of it, but the club still gets some money as well. It's a win-win. Like, I
think they get a certain percentage of the price for a ticket, and they get some of these my jersey or something, points or something like that. But I mean, I personally, when I had my season ticket, me and my pals, and when I was running the bus for Hamilton and stuff like that, it was a case of, on a Friday night or a Saturday morning, people would drop off tickets, their season tickets to me. They weren't going to the game, they couldn't get to the game, whatever. So I'd phone about people, I've got X amount of tickets, right? They'd never really wanted any money for them. You maybe bought the boy a bottle of wine the next time you seen him or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always try to make sure that if we want to get into a game, that at least there's somebody's bum was sitting in our seats. And you can't tell me that there isn't Celtic fans out there that don't know Celtic fans that they can just say, all right, here we go, I'm not going to the game, mate. You want fancy going to my ticket Saturday? I've got something with the wife on, instead of just letting it sit in the house.
Yeah. Or said, Mark, even if the thing was in place where, as I said, individuals weren't going and they were able to do that, like as you said, they seem to be able to do over Rangers, and the tickets sold for 50% of the face value. Do you know what I mean? You're still going to get a lot of people taking up that go, oh, do you know what? So I can get a ticket now today. Do you know, some people in today's society mightn't be able to afford to go all the time. And if that's there, and all of a sudden, if the ticket's normally £30, and all of a sudden they're going, look, we just say 150 tickets, 200 tickets spare, and we can sell them for £15 each. Do you know, if some people want them, they can come and collect them and get them. You know, you probably would get you probably would get a lot more of a take up on it. You know what I mean?
Aye, 100%, Terence. I mean, imagine you could just go on the Celtic site on a Friday and get a ticket for a game that somebody's not going to. All you need is a code on your phone in this day and age. Do you know what I mean? It's not as if you need to meet up with somebody to get their season ticket off them and all this part and get it back to them after. All you need is a code sent to your phone that you click at the turnstile and that's you in.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, it's very basic, Mark. The days of physically handing a ticket to an individual are long gone. It's all, as you said, it's all digitalized, computerized apps, whatever way you want to call it. And you know, Celtic as a club should be a lot smarter in that side of it and going, do you know what I mean? We need to try get bums on seats just because we've sold 50,000 season tickets or whatever it is. If we see that there's regularly people aren't attending or they can't attend for whatever reasons, you know, reach out to all the Celtic fans, the season ticket holders, and say, look, we've installed this new system. If you're not going to the game, if you'd like to contact us by this day to say you're not going, if we sell your ticket, we'll give you X amount, whatever it is, back. And you know, you even if it's £10 back on your ticket, it's £10 you wouldn't get if you just leave the ticket go.
Exactly. That's Kaiser's just said, so 20 quid a ticket, £10 to the club, £10 to the season ticket holder, paid at the end of the season as a discount your next season ticket. Just scan the phone at the door with e-tickets. It's no rocket science. Do you know what I mean?
It's not, because, like, Mark, we've just discussed it here for the last few minutes, and as Kaiser's put in there what he said as well, like, no offence meant, but we're having a conversation and we've kind of said, oh, maybe they should look at doing this, look at doing that. There's people, obviously, whose full-time job this should be, and well, it should be, to try and ensure that this is right. And I mean, it's a simple thing to install. As you said, if they do it in Rangers, the template's already there. So, and I'm sure there's numerous other clubs around the world that do the same thing.
A wee guy I watch on YouTube from Birmingham bought a ticket for a Celtic fan for yesterday's game for £54. Would that not be about the normal price there, Shell? I don't know how much the tickets would be, right enough for a derby game. Like if you were just buying a ticket, but I don't think £54 that dear. I'd have bought that. I mean, it's what is it, £38 for a normal league game ticket? I'm sure it's £38, and that's in like the standing section in the North Curve. £38 if you just want to buy a ticket, because I do know that some tickets, guys do want money for them. Do you know what I mean? You want a full ticket price, which you can't go.
But at the same time, if that's a YouTube fella with his own channel and stuff like that, he probably did pay €54. But you know what I mean? If it is a YouTube channel and he's one of those lads that comes over and films derby games and stuff like that you see guys doing, do you know what I mean? He might have already had this prearranged to meet the guy and buy the ticket. I'm not saying he did or he didn't, but
Henke saying the ticket's worth £54. So I didn't think that was that bad.
No, 54 for derby.
They're Paul saying, I seen that video. He was late getting in and had to leave early. He's the kind of day John Lindstrom had then, by the sounds of it, Paul. His phone ran out of battery. He came all the way from Birmingham for the game. His phone ran out of battery.
For God's sake.
Oh,
stop. Might want to charge you the night before.
Aye. Oh, I've just wind that up tonight, Terry. That's 8 nearly.
We will indeed
just sit here talking shite for 20 minutes to make the 2 hour mark.
Perfect.
I know, here, Parkhead boy, I know, man, I was got it. I thought Big Jabber and that would have said, seeing as it was your birthday last week, we'll get you a ticket for the derby game and that, but no, didn't he go.
Did you get the video from Jabber?
What one?
The one of him singing in the with the kind of Green Brigade area.
Aye.
Voice of an angel, isn't he?
Maybe no. I've got him and we stayed after a game last Saturday. Was it last Saturday? Aye. After a game last Saturday.
I got that one too.
Him and we Steph.
Yeah, I got that one.
He was sending me pictures and he'd be sick and everything.
Thank God he didn't send me those ones.
It's him and Steph are on a video doing the back of the Celtic Supporters Club singing happy birthday to me. Then next thing I got a picture of a pile of vomit and Big Jabber blew his guts in the and then I ended up getting back to Steph's team about 5 o'clock in the morning, and they were sending me videos to about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. They were sending me these stupid videos.
I got 1 or 2 of them as well now, to be fair.
Oh, dumb man. You need to get him on here. We keep saying
I keep asking him, Mark. I keep saying to him, it's like a phone call, Jabber. That's all it is. It's just a phone call.
No, Lindsay, you'll get one. See, Lindsay, it's my 50th, 5 days before the cup game. See any ticket going, I'd accept. See, because you're a woman, Lindsay, you'll probably get one off of some scary pervert over here. Oh, Lindsay, I'll get you one. Slide into my DMs.
Jar will be on you in about 20 minutes. Yeah.
A happy birthday when it comes anyway, Lindsay. I just hit 50 last Saturday. I don't feel any different. Still shite.
Happy birthday as well. I'm not for another few months.
When's your birthday?
September.
That'll be you 50.
Yeah. I
I
only look about 32.
So you do. Inches. 32 inches.
See, they're getting personal again now because you're old. You're a senior now.
You look older than me.
Well, you're a senior citizen now, like you're 50s. You know what I mean? There's no need to get personal, like. Jack has already picked out the home fee and everything.
She's picked out what?
She's already picked out the nursing home fee and everything.
Oh, I'll never live long enough to see a nursing home. Sack that, no chance.
You're going in next week, bud.
Next week, hopefully I'm dead before then. And sitting doing a podcast for a nursing home. Hey, we'll wind that up then, Tim.
Yeah.
Thanks very much
No
for
worries.
coming on, bud. Everybody who joins the live chat, thanks very much. All the subs, brilliant. We're over 1,000 subs now. I think we're at 1,011, so we can't go back under. Hopefully, we don't go back under the 1,000. Hope you all enjoyed the crack, the chat as well. Hail, hail, good night, and God bless.
Brilliant. Lord.